Greetings, Israel, and in particular, people of Judah. Yes, greetings again. Let me be clear. My brothers, sister, Israelites, particularly the tribe of Judah. Hope you guys are enjoying this 2 days after the 400-year announcement of our people's enslavement here in what's called today America, formerly known as Turtle Island. I just want to share some thoughts around my personal feelings behind some of the things that I see that are happening in regards to this 400 year recognition. First of all, there's a statement, and it's a statement that I've heard many people use, and I've used it from time to time. It goes like this: that some people are so spiritually minded that they're physically useless. Again, some people are so spiritually minded that physically, fleshly, they're absolutely useless. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll give you a couple of examples. You take this whole thing that's going on in Ghana. Ghana has decided that they're going to welcome home all of the former enslaved people of Turtle Island, Ghana. Now, on the surface, that sounds very heroic. It sounds like, wow, what a wonderful nation Ghana is. What is that? The final passage, I think, is where Ghana, I guess what Ghana is known for in terms of the slave trade. But interestingly enough, I see people like Steve Harvey and many others running over to Ghana, and they're crying crocodile tears and walking around the slave castle in Ghana, and almost as though they're paying some type of spiritual honor to our ancestors. But here's what I see. I see the nation of Ghana, one of 52 African countries, 52. One nation that sees an opportunity to exploit us once again. Yes, to exploit us once again. Sure, come on to Ghana. We want you here in Ghana. We need you here in Ghana. But be sure you don't come here broke. Because see, the Ghananese know one thing, like I'm just, or the Ghanaians, or whatever they call themselves. I'm sure the president of Ghana recognizes one thing, that if you can get from here in America to Ghana, you're not going to be able to do that with no resources. And you're going to stay in their hotels, and you're going to take their tours, you're going to hire their tour guides, you're going to pay for their foods, their drinks, etc., etc., etc. This whole back to Africa foolishness, it's interesting. Because again, spiritually minded, fleshly, dumb, and stupid. Because if Africa, the continent of Africa, truly ever gave a damn about Israelites here in America, you mean to tell me it's have taken them 400 years or 100 years or 200 years to make this proclamation, finally? So Ghana has finally come to its senses. Ghana has finally recognized that their ancestors sold our ancestors to Europeans into slavery, chattel slavery. And now they got such a big, juicy heart. They love us so much to come on back home, my brothers. Seriously? Seriously? Steve Harvey and anybody else who's so mesmerized spiritually about going back to Ghana, to the slave coast. You know what? Why go to Ghana to recognize your enslavement? Hell, you can go to Jackson, Mississippi. Ask Medgar Evers' family about getting shot in his back by racist, bigoted, white trash. Ask Martin Luther King. Go to Memphis. Ask him about getting his brains blown out and publicly in front of everybody. You don't need to go back 400 years to acknowledge that. Go to Philadelphia, Mississippi, to the family of James Chaney, and ask him about their son being murdered at 21 years old and thrown in a damn dam and buried in a dam by the police department, and how the officials in Philadelphia, Mississippi, in collusion with the FBI, tried to cover that up. Let's go to Los Angeles. Let's go to Rodney King getting his ass whipped publicly by police officers. Wasn't that long ago? Why do you have to go back to Africa to get a feeling for where your oppression started? Your oppression is still going on. Hebrew, excuse me, Hebrew is the language. Israelite, Judah. What does 40 years of oppression mean to us, the people of Turtle Island, the so-called African American, still here? It means absolutely nothing when you're still oppressed. You know, over in Virginia, you got ladies and folk running around with white dresses on, dancing and doing all these little slave chants. Come on. You look like a fool in front of your oppressors. You look like a damn fool. You're still oppressed and you celebrating your oppression. When the last time you seen any nation going around celebrating their oppression and they're still oppressed? I've heard of nations celebrating their liberation. But you mean to tell me you're oppressed and you feel comfortable going back to Africa? Because one of 52 damn countries, one, decided to bring you back because they're the ones who have blood on their hands, because they're the one who sold you out. Are you serious? As you've heard me say before, Africans are just as guilty as Europeans and Arabs in terms of the slave trade. And when you hear people saying Africans sold black people, they did sell us. They damn sure did. But what they don't and fail to understand, that we were Judah. We were not African. We were not their children. We were not their relatives. We were no more relative to the African than we were to the European, the Arab, or the Asian. Now that's a fact. Go look it up for yourself, if you care enough to know. Wise men, spiritually minded, fleshly dumb. You know, you look at 400 years of oppression here, you think in terms of, well, that's where our beginning was, 400 years. No, son, daughter, we were here long before Europeans came to our shores. When they came to our shores, they found us walking on the beaches. They found us celebrating with our families. They saw us marrying and elevating our culture, praising Yahuwah. They saw us free. They saw us loving and giving and sharing and willing to take upon strangers as we were instructed, not realizing that taking on strangers would be the death of our people. When you look at how they have murdered and raped, hung and burned, put, this white Jesus character on us. And some of us are still worshiping this white Jesus character. Why would we be celebrating? What do we have to celebrate? Oppression? We go before them now and we ask for reparations. Well, let me say that better. We demand reparations. And they laugh in our face. Elizabeth Warren, cut check, what check? Bernie Sanders, I don't think we need to get them no money. Kamala Harris, who? Who? You mean do something for just black people? Joe Biden, I don't give a damn what happened to them. Lock their asses up. Do you think about, the Central Park Five, Corey Wise? You think Corey Wise felt liberated? Do you think Corey Wise felt like 400 years of oppression was something to be celebrated when he was being raped, in prison, being falsely accused by a judicial system that's set up to mass incarcerate men and women of color? What are you celebrating, black man, so-called black man, black woman? What are you celebrating? You don't celebrate your oppression. You fight against your oppression. You take a stand for your oppression. You come together as one fist to defeat your oppressors. And then you celebrate when you're liberated, when you're free. Until then, we have nothing to celebrate. We're in the middle of a battle. You don't take a break in a battle. And you're in the middle of a war. You don't go back and say, hey, you know what? Let's sit down and have some coffee, drink some tea. Let's have a little celebration, acknowledging, that we're halfway there. When your brothers and your sisters are still being slaughtered, murdered, taken advantage, exploited, cheated, robbed, drugged. Again, spiritually, minded, fleshly, stupid. I shared with you yesterday as a way that seemed right to men. but the end of their ways is the death of that man. Proverbs 14 and 11. 14 and 12, excuse me. Guys, it's time for us to wake up. You know, you got a holiday coming up. I wonder how many Hebrews, Judeans who are going to be out there celebrating Monday, Labor Day. I'm going to go buy me some hot dogs. I'm going to buy me some hamburgers. I'm going to go out here and enrich all of your oppressors. Let's go give them more of our money. But when we ask for the money that we owe, they look at you and laugh at you. But you're going to be out there, a lot of you are going to be right out there Monday having big old parties and celebrations. Not this Monday, Labor Day Monday. You know what I'm talking about. Instead of standing back and saying, you know what, I'm keeping my money in my pocket. If you want my money, you're going to show me some respect. And until then, you know what, I'll buy what I need and only what I need. I'm going to take care of my family, take care of my loved ones. I use my money to make sure that, you know, my family has the basic necessities to survive in this oppressive society. You know, Yahuwah has made promises to us, and Yahuwah is going to keep his promises to us. But until then, he made it clear to us that if we come together as a nation and humble ourselves before him, seek after him, he would heal our land. You follow me? He would hear our prayers, and then he will restore us. Until then, there's no sense to go run to Ghana or anywhere else talking about, you know, let's recognize, you know, getting our asses kicked. You know, throughout the history of this country, again, murder, rape, burned us alive, robbed us, kept us out of opportunities through redlining, you know, redistricting, denying us the basic necessities of life. I mean, just give you a little peek. I was watching a documentary last night, and it was on the Roosevelts. If you get a chance, watch it. And you'll see that in West Virginia, there was a group of people. I mean, they were so poor, those children looked like somebody had grabbed their ass out of a damn trash can full of slut and filth. Nasty, dirty, filthy little white children and white parents. Looking like, maybe a hobo look like the bourgeois elite. And when Eleanor Roosevelt went down there to try to help them out and start funneling resources to them, you know what them crackers had the audacity to say? We don't want those black niggas down there to get nothing. Do you know they protest and they damn near rioted because they didn't want, poor as shit, but did not want to see people of color have anything. And so when you white folks start talking this foolish about we were poor too, it's a different kind of damn poor. Even your poor were a bunch of bigots and racists. And some of you know I'm right. They were so bigoted and racist. Most of those lynchings are these pictures that you see throughout history in the early 19th century, even the mid-20th century, 1900s, mid-1900s. Most of the people who were standing out there and celebrating those hangings and lynchings and mass burning were poor white trash crackers. So we don't want to hear anything about you were poor too. You might have been poor, but you weren't victimized, you weren't brutalized. You weren't robbed of your self-respect. So no, get out of here with that foolishness. But men and women of color, Hebrew Israelites, Judeans in particular, wake up. Don't buy into this con game, for lack of a better word, on this, you know, this 40-year thing we need to be celebrating and recognizing. We had better be praying that Yahweh fulfills his promise to us. And he's not until we all come to him and recognize who we are, who he is, and what we need to be doing daily, seeking after him and his justice. Until then, you know, we're going to keep getting what we're getting. What's that definition? A definition of insanity? You know, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. That's what we look like, guys, doing the same thing over and over. Let's pray. Let's go to white Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Let's go, you know, over to church, which ain't nothing but a hellhole. A bunch of hypocrite, rotten Roman Catholicism, Rome formulated cathedral that they were worshiping pagans in. And they still worshiping pagans in those places. You have no business in those places. But you won't listen to me. But at judgment, you'll wish you had. But, you know, hey. Go Sunday, go over there, go listen over there. Go practice that heathen religion all you want. As Joshua said, as far as me and my house, we're going to serve Yahuwah. The hell with 400 years.